Good afternoon. This is Susan, and this is Susan's Ramblings. Today I have a few recipes for you. A couple of them are wacky cakes or depression cakes. And when I recorded yesterday, or a couple of days ago, the depression cakes, one lady came back and said, my grandma always made depression cake and she had vinegar in it. And it's still her favorite. Well, that set me thinking. And I went and I found two, I thought, and then I looked and I had three different called wacky cakes. And they use vinegar. And it's also called depression cake. So, those are coming up. But first of all, in our area, it didn't hit 40 degrees today. It's only sitting at about 35. That's chilly for us at this time of the year. So it's time for me to start making my hot drinks mixes. The mixes that I use to make my hot drinks all winter long. This is one of my favorite ones, and I have it not just winter, but day too. Summer too. It's year-round, this one. Instant hot cocoa, 11 cups of dry milk, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2.5 cups of powdered creamer, 1 pound of Nestle or Hershey instant cocoa mix. I use Quick, Nestles Quick. Mix all ingredients in a large container. Store in a 5-quart ice cream pail. To use 1/4 cup to 1 cup of water. Adjust the desired taste. I usually use about 1/3 of a cup to a cup of water. That's our instant hot cocoa mix. That's the one I've used for years and years and years. Crazy cake, wacky cake, depression cake. 3 cups of flour, 1/3 cup of cocoa, 2 cups of sugar, a pinch of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of vinegar, 3/4 cups of oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 2 cups of water. Mix the dry ingredients and put them in a cake pan. Make 3 holes in the dry ingredients. Pour the vinegar in 1 hole, the vanilla extract in a 2nd hole, and the oil in the 3rd hole. Pour water over all and mix well with a fork. Bake at 350 degrees for 40 minutes or until it tastes done. Crazy cake, wacky cake, depression cake. Wacky cake. This I think is about the same recipe. Let me check here for a minute. Where to go? Except it's smaller. The one I just gave you with the 9 by 13 inch pan. This one I believe is a 9 by 9 inch pan. Oh, yeah. Okay. Wacky cake. 1 1/3 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 5 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of water. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Grease a 9 by 9 pan. Combine the flour, sugar, cocoa, baking sugar, and salt. Whisk thoroughly. Pour the flour mixture into a greased 9 by 9 pan. Make 3 holes in the flour mixture. In 1 hole, put 5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. In 2nd hole, place 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. In the 3rd hole, place 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Pour water over all. Stir well. Bake at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes or until test done. That's for a 9 by 9 cake. This one I think is about the same. Depression cake. 1 1/2 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of vinegar, white vinegar, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1 cup of water. Your frosting is 3 tablespoons of butter softened, 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons of milk. In a large bowl, combine the flour, sugar, cocoa powder, salt, and baking soda. Whisk thoroughly. Add the vanilla, vinegar, and water to the flour mixture. Mix until thoroughly mixed and incorporated. Pour in the greased 8x8 pan. Bake at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes or until it's done. Frosting. With a hand mixer, combine the butter, cocoa, honey, vanilla, and the powdered sugar. Turn the mixture to low and beat for 30 seconds. Slowly add the milk, 1 tablespoon at a time, until you reach the desired consistency. You may use less milk or more milk, depending on your seasons. Spread over your cool cake. There we go. Buns. I want the buns and bread because in these troubling times, bread prices are out of control, as well as the other prices. But anyway, but maybe it's time for us to consider making our own bread. And these few recipes I'm going to give you to begin with are recipes that you can make ahead of time and stick it in the refrigerator and just take out as much as you need during the day. Sometimes it lasts 2 days, sometimes it lasts 3 days. I've even got one that'll last 7 to 10 days, so let's get going. Buns. 2 packages of yeast, 1 3/4 cups of warm water, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, 5 1/2 to 6 cups of flour, 1 egg, 1/4 cup of soft butter or margarine. Sprinkle the yeast over the warm water in the large bowl. Remember, the water's just got to be warm, not hot. If you use hot, you will kill your yeast. Stir to dissolve. Add the sugar, salt, and half the flour. Beat with a mixer on medium speed for 2 minutes. Add the eggs and the butter. Beat to mix. Add remaining flour and stir with hand or spoon until the dough is easy to handle. Shape in the balls and place in a lightly greased bowl. Cover tightly or place the bowl in a plastic bag. Put the dough in the refrigerator. Wait at least 2 hours or until doubled in size before using. This dough can be used up to 3 to 5 minutes after it has chilled for 2 hours. Punch the dough down every day until using it. 2 hours before baking, punch down and shape in the rolls. Cover and let rise in a warm place until nearly doubled, 1.5 hours. Bake at 400 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes. Your buns. Omdma Bread. I hope that's what I'm saying, right? By the way, these recipes come from old cookbooks, church cookbooks, local church cookbooks. They were done in the 60s and 70s, so these are old tested recipes. 2 cups of boiling water, 2 packages of yeast, 1/2 cup of cornmeal, 2 tablespoons of shortening, 1/2 cup of molasses, 3 teaspoons of salt, 5 to 6 cups of flour. Boil the water. Let cool to lukewarm. Add the yeast to 1/2 cup of warm water and dissolve. Add the cornmeal, shortening, molasses, and salt. Add the flour to make a stiff dough. Knead well. Place in a greased bowl and cover. Let rise until double in size. Punch down. Let rise an additional 45 minutes. Shape into 3 loaves and bake at 350 degrees for 60 minutes. One more for today, and that's it. Oatmeal bread. 1 cup of water, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of oatmeal, 4 tablespoons of shortening, 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 egg, 1 package of yeast, 1/4 cup of lukewarm water to dissolve your yeast, 1/2 cup of molasses, 6 to 8 cups of flour. Boil the water and the milk. Pour over the oatmeal, the sugar, shortening, molasses, and salt. Let stand until lukewarm. Add the egg and the yeast dissolved in warm water. Add flour. Knead well. Let rise and knead down. Let rise until double in size. Form into loaves or buns. Let rise. Bake loaves at 350 degrees for 45 minutes to 1 hour. Buns 350 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes or until that's done. That's it for today. Breads and Wacky Cake. God bless.